We're the Tour Junkies. We're the Tour Junkies.
What's going on, golf addicts? Welcome to the Tour Junkies golf show on the Better Sports Network. Now, if you're a regular Tour Junkies listener, we are also using our time here at the Better Sports Network to go ahead and knock out the DFS preview for the John Deere Classic 2023 from TPC Deere Run. Pat, we already did the betting show. It's kind of a weird week, 4th of July on a Tuesday. Everything just kind of thrown into just chaos. So here we are.
It is, yeah. And you changed. I did not change. I'm wearing the same thing I wore this morning.
Yeah.
When we did the betting show, but you have changed.
Well, I was coming straight from the gym when I did the betting show with you, so I was like nasty. So now
you're cleaned up.
I'm a clean boy.
You look nice. You lot of TJ logos on you.
Yes.
Same here, really. I mean, we're TJ'd up.
Yeah, fully. It's going to be a good show. We are going to quickly recap the Rocket Mortgage, talk a little bit about Rickie's win. We're obviously going to get into our DraftKings tiers, go over every range, give our picks, kind of some early leans, thoughts on how to attack this very, very weak field. We're going to do our 6K draft like we normally do on our regular show. We're also going to get our DraftKings cash lineup that was absolutely atrocious last week. Probably
it did have Rickie, didn't it?
I don't know. It was the worst one we've ever done.
It was pretty bad, though. It was bad.
Yeah. So that's, you know what? I wonder if I could, let me just pull it up because now I want to know whose fault it was really.
Oh, you want to know between us who's fault?
I want to know who to blame. Okay. Hideki was on there, which I think
that's my fault. Yeah.
Byung-Hun An was on there, which we both liked, and Eckroat. Yeah. I mean, we both liked Eckroat. I think you picked Hubbard. I wasn't fully sold on Hubbard.
Yeah, I did.
We had 4 miss the cut. We had Aberg and Aaron Rye get through. Like, that is awful. Anyway, God dang it. Listen, the Rickie finally gets it done. And you know what? We talked about it on the betting show a little bit. Love to see it happen. Love to see Rickie get it done. A huge activation, too, for Rocket Mortgage. I mean, to have their guy win on site is a great thing for Rocket Mortgage Classic people. That's fantastic. I want to do a quick debrief on, because we talked about Rickie, all that on the betting show. I want to do a quick debrief on DraftKings because I think it's good to kind of go back and look kind of what happened. Because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're all caught up in who's high owned, who's not. Who do I pivot to? Oh, I can't believe he's chalk. And am I going to eat that chalk? Am I going to not?
That was part of my just the tip last week, by the way. We had a pre-tip, a tip, and then we had a back-end tip also.
I think we had a quad. Was it a tri-tip? We had a tri-tip.
Yeah.
We contemplated a quad tip with Tony hopping in, but he saved his tip for another time. But yes, so really and truly, Rickie was chalk you had to have. There were virtually no DFS lineups that won anything that did not have Rickie in it. He was on average owned around 35%, but I think it made sense. I mean, he was clearly in the last 60 days, he's the best player in the field last week. Yeah. He was the best player in the field. He was better than Tony Finau over the last 60 days. I know Tony won in Mexico, but he's been more consistent. He's played better, way better than JT. And people want to say JT. He sucks. Sung Jae, Homa, who else was in there? Like it just wasn't even close. He was the best player. Hideki.
I forgot JT was even in the field.
Exactly. Yeah, that's JT's problem.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to eat the chalk on Rickie. I did. I had him everywhere in DFS, which was good. I did not have 2 guys who were the only 3 players in the top 10 DraftKings scorers last week to reach double-digit ownership was Rickie Fowler at 35%, Colin Morikawa at 12%, which I had none of.
Me either.
And a guy who we did talk about a fair amount at the, especially in our Discord Nut Hut chat, Adam Schenk at 10%. I think we had a lot of people have him. I had a little bit of him, but not enough. Those were the only 3 people in the top 10 DraftKings point scorers to reach double digits, which tells you that a lot of chalk bombed. And I'm talking 6 players owned over 15% and priced at 8,000 or above. Missed the cut. Ben On, Tom Kim, Tony Finau, JT, Eckroat and Hideki, all priced in the 8K range, all owned over 15%, and all had their weekend free. Carnage.
Some of that I feel like we could have seen coming. Hideki, I don't know about, but Eckroat for sure, because there was just like when you see somebody like Eckroat with that much ownership, it is sort of a little bit of a stay away. And he was written up in our
It was
chalk
made the
bomb.
chalk bomb. Yeah.
So so there you go.
Cheap chalk. I mean, it's not 8K isn't necessarily like cheap chalk, but it's getting there. Like we usually say 7K, really chalky players usually are worth the fade. He was 8K even.
Ben On was the one though. He was the one
God.
that really hurt me. I just felt like that was I knew it was chalky, but I still felt like it was a pretty safe chalk play, but it just wasn't at all.
Yeah. And obviously, Ben On, you're just hoping for that upside of like, can he just have a week where he gains one stroke putting? If he just gained one stroke putting, that's all we need. That's all we
Yeah.
need. We don't need him to gain all the strokes putting. But yeah, it was rough, man. I mean, the chalk did not hit. I think it was like less than 5% of lineups had 6 of 6 make the cut. But you better have had Rickie. That is for sure. So, any other takeaways from the Rickie win or anything we didn't talk about on the betting show that you'd like to get off your chest?
With Rickie himself
Yeah,
or
yeah.
just no, I mean, I think he's so different than he used to be. Like even after he won, he was just like, yeah, I mean, winning's fun, but it's just not the most important thing in life. I knew I was going to win eventually with the way I've been playing. He just like it feels like a different, like if you're looking at JT Jordan, the crew, Smiley, the SB, the SB2K or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. Mhm.
Like Rickie, I feel like has made the most strides between the way where he was and where he is now. He just seems a lot different, more calm, not as flashy, even though, he's still wearing the orange on Sundays, but it's just he's just a different Rickie. And but still, I mean, he when he won too, like just the look on his face and his reaction,
I love that.
it was great. It was like it was
I
one of
love
relief, but it was also one of like, I did it. All of this work has paid off, and you could just feel it come out of his shoulders, like all the weight on his shoulders just released at that moment. It felt like.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you?
100%.
Yeah,
I think it was an authentic reaction.
very
I
authentic.
think, you could have seen, I mean, he made what, an 11-footer, to win. You could have seen like a big fist pump, and sometimes those feel forced. It feels like that's what you have to do. I loved his reaction. Like,
Yeah,
it was just like, gosh dang it, I did it.
yeah,
Like we finally did it. Monkey's off the back. We can stop talking about it now.
yeah.
When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? When's it gonna happen? Now he's still gonna have now, he's still gonna have the major conversation, right? I mean, even before the latest slump, it was always, when is Rickie gonna win a major? That's not going away. In fact, it might now be ratcheted up as we look ahead to Royal Liverpool, where he finished runner-up to Rory McIlroy in 2014, still looking for his first major and playing as good as anybody right now. So I mean, that might be elevated. But at least
Yeah.
kind of coming back from everything he's come back from and winning, he doesn't have to hear it anymore. I thought it was a wonderful celebration. I loved it.
You know who's not gonna react like that if we ever win the member guest? Not
Me
me.
and you. Yeah, me and you. We're not.
No, I'm probably jumping in that lake, that pond,
Yeah,
beside 18 on your course if we ever win.
for sure. I totally agree.
Tony just has this picture just ready to go. Ready to go.
Tony
Is
does.
that a hot button now? Like, do you have
Yeah,
a hot button for that picture?
Listen, producer Tony's on it. He's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Morikawa is another takeaway, though.
I don't. What do you want to say?
I have one thing to say. Like, just because I think the week before at the Travelers, it just shows you, like, if you're looking at, we talked about this just the tip, or you mentioned it just now about looking at the past. The thing about Morikawa was you didn't need to look at what he did on Thursday at the Travelers. You needed to look at what he did on Friday. and he had a very good round on Friday, and it carried over into this week. And I didn't pay attention enough to that. I wish I had, because I've been on Morikawa a lot this year. I was on him at the Travelers. He burned me. I had 0 of them. Just rid myself of Morikawa last week. And what happens? He finishes T2 and really could have won. I mean, he really, that putt on 18 was meant to go down, and it did not.
It was not meant to go down.
Maybe it was not. Obviously, it was not.
Rickie Fowler was meant to
Yeah,
win.
you're right. You're right.
Yes.
That was a poor choice of words there. But
I do love that it is kind of Ryder Cup season. So, anybody who made possibly like makes a birdie, everybody starts saying it's a Ryder Cup. It's Ryder Cup time for Peter Malnati. It could be. Where is he? Let's take a look. So let's take a look. Let's do a quick check-in. I don't want to get into this too much, but a quick check-in. Obviously, Rickie moves up quite a bit, moves from the 16th spot to the 12th spot. Yeah. Morikawa comes up too, from the 12th to the 9th spot. So the current team is locked in, would be Scheffler, Clark, Koepka, Xander, Cantlay, Homa. And then you've got Keegan at 7, then Jordan, Morikawa, Cam Young, Sam Burns, Rickie Fowler.
Can we get Cam Young out of here?
I was going to say, surely after, he had the President's Cup experience, which I'm sure he loved. I think he probably played okay. Like, this could get really tough for Captain Zach Johnson, because typically our U.S. captains love to just go right down the line. Like, if you're 7 through 12 when it ends, you get picked. They very rarely get the 13th guy or the 14th guy. As it stands right now, you have Cam Young at number 10 playing like hot ass.
Yeah.
Then
you had to choose a word there, right?
Yeah.
That you thought would be a good one. Mm-hmm.
Then at number 13, just on the bubble outside, another player playing like hot ass, but with a ton of Ryder Cup experience, Justin Thomas. What would you do right now if you're Captain Zach Johnson?
Well, for one, I think JT should be on the team. I feel like there's plenty of time for him to show some form. And if he's right around that 10 to 12 range, I feel like he certainly should be on the team over Cam Young. Okay. I think Fowler should be in. I feel like he's in already. You can't leave him off the team with the way he's been playing all year long. Okay. So I think Fowler's in.
Yeah. And as opposed to a guy like Cameron Young, like, this is what I hate about this whole system. Cameron Young and Rickie Fowler basically have the same amount of points. Cameron, all of his points are from last year.
Yeah.
Like, who would you rather have? I'd rather have the guy this year, like, doing his thing this year.
Well, and that's kind of what the Europeans do, don't they? I mean, that's what's been successful for them, is they tend to put a little more onus on what's going on that year. And Cam Young is just living off of 2022 still. So I think he's out. I'm fine. Like Keegan Bradley, I think he's in.
Yeah,
he's in.
100% he's in.
And I like him on the team. I think he's a great Ryder Cup guy. He's
true
just,
patriot.
Here we are. Independence Day's tomorrow. Keegan Bradley fits the bill there. So I like that. It's going to be interesting to see these fringe guys, because I think Spieth will get in. I think Morikawa will definitely get in. I don't know about Burns. Sam Burns is right there. What is the deal with him?
Crazy to see guys like Tony Finau below, Harris English, Kurt Kitayama. Like, what? What the? This is so terrible. Hopefully, Zach Johnson goes outside of just the 9 or the 8, 7 through 12 guy and kind of does something. But
Tony brings up a good point in here. DJ we haven't even talked about DJ. I know you've tweeted out about DJ being on the team, and I kind of agree. I think he certainly should get a look for sure.
But I mean, think about, even if you take out Cam Young and Sam Burns, you toss them out. I mean, you got to, who are you taking between Justin Thomas, Tony Finau, Dustin Johnson? Who's the one out? For Zach,
Finau's out.
DJ. For Zach, it's probably going to be DJ.
Well, I do think, and Zach has already even said this, there is there's a camaraderie factor to the team, like you want
Yeah.
the team to gel. And I think that's one reason I think JT is kind of a little bit of that glue that you add in there.
Yeah.
But DJ too, though. I think all of these guys love playing with DJ, love having him on the team. I mean, if you saw like when they won the last one, he was the most lively. Actually, all the press conferences that they've won, I feel like DJ's the best. Like
He
if
was
you go,
hammered at that one.
yeah, I mean, but I think they all really like DJ. I just don't.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of tension between him and those guys. Despite Liv and
Yeah.
everything else. So,
All right. All right, we got to take a break. We're going to come right back here on the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network, talking about the John Deere Classic. We're going to get into the DraftKings ranges, 9K range, 10K range, 8K range. Stay right here. We'll be right back. We're only 9 Sundays away until Scott Hansen voice. 7 hours of commercial-free football. So head over to fantasyalarm.com and check out the newly released Fantasy Football Draft Guide. You get your cheat sheet plus one-stop shop for dominating your fantasy football drafts. It's authored by proven fantasy winners. It can help you win dynasty leagues, redraft leagues, best ball, and more. Just purchase it for $26.99 or get it free with a monthly or annual all-pro subscription to Fantasy Alarm. Start your free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm All-Pro and get immediate free access to the draft guide. Check out, go ahead and go to fantasyalarm.com. All right, we are back on the Tour Junkies Golf Show, Better Sports Network, talking John Deere Classic. Let's get into it, Pat. Let's talk about this top range. Before we do, I do want to do this actually. I want to do a little. I want to do a little glance back into time, Pat. Let's go back
okay,
in time. That
all
was us
right.
going back in. Now we're at the 2022 John Deere, Pat.
Hmm.
At the 2022 John Deere, exactly 0 players, 10K, were worth rostering. None of them. The perfect lineup in the 2022 John Deere Classic would have had 1 player from the 9K, 3 from the 8K, and 2 from the 7K range. Okay? Now, let's keep going back. Let's go to 2021. Now we're at the 2021 John Deere Classic.
Yes.
Of the players priced 9K or above, only 2 of the top 10 DraftKings point scorers were in that range. Only Dose. That's it. Had you faded every player in the 10K range for the last 2 years on DraftKings at the John Deere Classic, you'd be just fine. In fact,
I
you'd
feel
be
like
more
that's
than
a
fine.
trend. That's a trend worth looking at.
The perfect lineup in 2021 would have had 1 player from the 9K range, 1 player from the 6K range, and 4 players from the 8K range. So of possible 12 different players in perfect lineups over the last 2 years, none of them from the 10K, 2 of them from the 9K, and 7 of them from the 8K range, Pat. Something I want to I just want to put that little foundation out there as we look ahead at this juicy field. Okay. 10K range here on DraftKings for this year. Denny McCarthy, Russell Henley, Ludwig Aberg, and Cam Young. Obviously, Denny and Russell check many boxes here. Both have had good finishes here. Both are playing well. Both hit a lot of fairways. Both hit a lot of greens and reg. And Denny can putt and Russell cannot. 2 very different styles than you would say Ludwig and Cam Young, but all 4 at 10K. Here's the question. Will you be rostering any of these fine gentlemen, Pat, or are you going to hope that the trend continues and fade them all?
I think I'm going to go with the trend, and I'm going to fade
Okay.
them all, DB. I think, even before you mentioned that was the strategy I wanted to look at. This course is similar also to, sort of that trend of avoiding, like some days or some tournaments, you just can't avoid the bombers. But this tournament, you can there's a lot of different players that we've seen win here. We've seen do well here. We've seen great ball strikers like a Lucas Glover, who's not a great putter, but we've seen, other folks win here that are, are bombers. So, I think you can choose a lot of different players, and so I think that opens up a lot to this field. And I'm fading over 10K. I think there's a couple of good guys in the 9K that I do like, but I'm not gonna play the 10K guys.
But now devil's advocate. Last week, we said it on our DFS show. Said it a little bit here at the beginning. Rickie was just playing too good to ignore, right? He was playing too well to pass up, and you had to have him. You had to have him in winning.
I don't see anybody in this range here.
You don't see Denny McCarthy that way. You don't see
not
Russell Henley.
like a Rickie or certainly Russell Henley is not like that. I know you're not trying to say Denny is Rickie Fowler. You're making a comparison here. Denny, to me, he's had a couple chances here recently. I don't know. I mean, I like him this week. I think, if you want to bet like a top 10 on Denny or something like that, I'm okay with. But I feel like if I want to put together the best winning lineup in DFS, then I can avoid the 10K guys and do that. Now, does that mean one of those guys could potentially win? Absolutely. That's 4 players in 156. So I think I can get a great lineup, spend some time in the 7K range and the 8K range, and I've got a way better chance of winning, whether it's in cash or whether it's in a GPP.
Russell Henley, in his last 8 events, has 7 top 20s. His only miscut was at the PGA Championship, a major, tough golf course, strong field.
Okay.
7 top 20s in his last 8 events.
He's played more than a top 20, though, out of Russell.
That's what I was getting to. He's played the Deere 3 times. He's finished 27th, runner-up, and 11th. Obviously a great track for him. Mm-hmm. But that's what I was going to say. You've, at what is he priced? Is he at 10-4? I mean, it's not like having Scheffler at 11-2 and needing Scheffler to like top 3. But I mean, you do need him to probably finish top 6 or 7, right?
Yeah.
At least in DraftKings point score. A T19, a T15 is likely not going to help you that much, and it's not going to hurt you. So I think you're right there. It does feel like Denny's time is kind of coming. It feels like the time is coming. It feels a little bit like Rickie. It feels a little bit like I feel about Fleetwood. It just feels like everything's adding up. He's having one of the best years of his career. He's come close and been in the heat and lost. It's a great course setup for him. To me, Denny is the one that tempts me the most. But I think paying top dollar in this field, it's not a good idea. So we'll see what the rest of the community does. I'm not sure. I think Cam Young will be the 4th lowest owned player in that 10K range. And, one thing is, and I don't know how it affects his golf game, but you got to know that Cam Young, having played in the President's Cup, would love to be on the Ryder Cup and is looking at the standings and watching himself bleed points out of the standings and wants to make it a hard decision for Zach Johnson, but he's running out of opportunities. I think there's, we got the playoffs. Obviously, he'll probably make those. I think, actually, I don't even know where he stands in the FedEx Cup standings. But so, I mean, I feel like Cam Young knows, like, we're getting to kind of nut cutting time, and how he responds to that will be seen. So,
yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm still not ready to play him. He hasn't shown any form for me to do anything with him. So,
I won't even be tempted by a low owned Cameron Young.
No, me either.
All right, so that leaves the 9K range, which is full of incoming chalk. But I was messing around with like making some lineups earlier. You can do 3 9K lineups, 3 players in the 9K, and still not have to leave the 7s. I mean, we're going to get to our 6K draft here in a minute, but the 6K is rough. It's really rough in this field. Yeah. I don't want to be in the 6K range very much. So you can still do 3 9s here if you want. Obviously, you can do 2 and balance it out a little more, just 1. But I think I'm going to eat some chalk here. I think you're going to kind of have to eat some chalk here. There's just some good options. I mean, Hadwin, Cole, Schenk, Griot, those guys are all playing really well. Taylor Moore had a good week last week. Chris Kurt kind of came back to life last week. for the Rocket Mortgage, finishing 14th, all 4 rounds in the 60s. So, I mean, I think there's some decisions to be made here. Who are your favorite plays on kind of in this range?
Yeah, I agree. I think there are some decisions here, but there was a couple that I'm kind of landing on early in the week. One is I think I'm going to go to Adam Hadwin at 9,800. I mean, I think that last week was just the start of probably a what could be a decent run. You look at the stats for him too. I mean, he's just like across the board, everything is good.
Yeah.
Good wedge game, great putter. He always has been. Great on approach. So I like Hadwin a lot. And then I like dropping down to 9,200, and I think you go back to Grillo. I mean, Grillo is always going to be a box checker. He's number one in my model when it comes to stats. But but the guy can score. You're going to have to score this week. He won on a course at Colonial where they weren't scoring a ton, but he can score. And he's actually been putting well this year. I mean, the thing with him was always.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of talked about his putter being a big thing for him that was a problem, but he's been putting well. You look at his last 24 rounds, he's top 20 in this field in strokes gained putting. So I think you can go back to Grillo at 9,200. So I think Hadwin and Grillo are the two that I'm landing on right now in this 9K range.
I wonder if Hadwin, I mean, I think Hadwin's going to get some love. I wonder if he'll get squeezed out just a little bit because of the people who decide to go up, they're going to get Henley and McCarthy and then probably kick way down to Grillo or something.
Yeah.
And then everyone else, I feel like, might just go just to Eric Cole and just be like, all right, well, I can start my lineups with Eric Cole. So I wonder if Hadwin gets squeezed out a little bit. He's not going to get unnoticed. The runner-up finish, last week's going to do a lot for him in the playoff. A high-profile playoff against Rickie Fowler's not going to put him unnoticed. But I still think like Eric Cole and Schenk are going to be more popular than he is. Slight price increase on Hadwin over especially Schenk, but I agree with you. I like the way Hadwin trends out. Cole is looking nice. I guess you just got to decide like. How much chalk are we? It's one thing to eat the chalk on, Rickie last week or Sung Jae or, a high caliber, like super high caliber player, but how much are we willing to eat it with Eric Cole, with Adam Hadwin, with Adam Schenk? That may have to develop as the week goes on. Because I'm not sure I want to do like a 20% plus situation,
Yeah, I agree.
but maybe. Before we get out of the 9K range, right before we started, one of the things I like to do in our Discord is I like to go through and read all the press transcripts and read all the things, and I screenshot and put it in our Discord the things that are key for the week, whether it's based on the course or it's something that a player says. And the only press conference that was had today was our defending champ and our friend JT Poston, of the Tour Junkies podcast and defending John Deere Classic champion. And JT's not been playing well. Not at all. But I will say, when I got done reading through it, I was like, JT sounds interesting. He talked about his play. He said that the results haven't been there, but he really doesn't feel that off. He said, I basically don't feel that much different, even though the results are definitely different. I mean, if you look at his incoming form last year, it is definitely better. But golf's a weird game. We know that.
Yeah.
But he said, I don't feel like I'm swinging it that much different. I don't feel like I'm finishing or balls are going in the hole like I want them to. But I don't feel that far off. He doesn't feel off at all. He said, I feel like my game feels good and I have confidence being here. And, he's I don't know. He just sounded good. And it just got me thinking like he's going to be nothing owned. He is going to be zero. Very few people are going to own. I'm not that he's actually going to be zero, but between all those names above him in the 9K, and then like Smalley and Jaeger, who are hot right now and popular, nobody's going to have him. But like, we call this a putting contest, and JT Poston can get just about as hot as anyone putting. Anyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now he's not hitting it super close right now and giving himself a whole lot of looks, and that's obviously a problem. But it's also like I was looking at his splits, his iron splits. It's not like it's terrible. Like in his last 5 tournaments, his worst week with the irons was -1 shot. But he's lost strokes with the iron play 4 out of the last 5 weeks. But it's just kind of just right there, kind of stuck in neutral,
Yeah.
If that wakes up a little bit like Keegan a couple weeks ago, right? We were talking about Keegan's irons not doing great. all of a sudden. And then all of a sudden it wakes up. But I don't know. I just want to throw that out there. I could see Poston being extremely low owned if if he's 6% and you have him at 12 to 15, you're 2x plus the field on him if he pops and you have some leverage.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Poston could be a good look. But I don't know. It will take me a little bit to land on him for sure in my
Yeah.
lineups. But I do think you're going to see some super low ownership. And again, there's plenty of upside with him if he just turns it around.
Yeah. All right. Before we get to a break, let's hit the 8K real quick. The 8K range has been pretty juicy the last 2 years at the
It
John
has.
Deere Classic. I don't love it. Like I love the 9K range. I don't love the 8K range. I don't mind a few of these guys. I think like Doug Gim at 8K is going to be fairly popular the way he's at least hitting it right now. The putter's been bad, but he's been consistent. I think Jaeger is going to continue to be a popular player up near towards the top of the 8K range. Smalley was popular last week. He's obviously hitting it great. Can't make anything with the putter. I think those three will be maybe the more popular plays. Is there anybody in here that you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Doug Gim. I really like Gim this week. I think at 8,000, it's a good price for him. He has been playing well. Two top 20, or really two top 15s in his last 3 starts. He's going to check a lot of boxes when you're looking at the stats too. There's something about Sepp Straka is calling me,
No.
and it's not the bulldog hat that I'm wearing. I mean, it is. I don't know what it is. Why are you immediately against Straka? I mean,
I don't know why I'm immediately against him. I just feel like even though the data doesn't necessarily say that over his career, I just feel like he does not. I feel like he likes tougher tracks, and he doesn't love the birdie fest. He's not a great putter by any means, which may be one reason. He's not a bad putter, but
yeah.
he's not a great putter. But I mean,
But I mean,
look at his good finishes this year. 16th at Memorial, winning score was like 9 under. 7th at the PGA, 5th at Honda, hard course. His win at Honda, hard course. Like birdie fests, Rocket Mortgage, Travelers, benign.
but if you were looking at like the last 24 rounds, he's top 20 in the field in birdie or better percentage.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
So it's not like he's,
this is a crappy field, though. I guess
you look at par 5 scoring, top 30 there. I don't know. I mean, Sepp is, and like I said,
there's only 3 par 5s here, so I would kind of limit that a little bit because
there are 3 par 5s, but I think there are 3 that you can score on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, par 5 scoring tends to be a stat we really look at when it's 4 par 5s because you can
It's just
usually
one
score on
less.
all 4 of them.
It's just one less, DV.
Well, yeah, but over 4 days.
I'm just saying, it's one less per round.
Okay. Anybody else in here? I don't like Sepp.
No, that's it for me in the 8K range.
I think if I were going to get back on somebody who has been a little lackluster, it might be Seabez, who didn't finish runner up here last year. I had him at the Travelers. He pissed me off with a miscut, but he kind of did it. He was just stuck in neutral, but good putter, really good iron player, very accurate off the tee, just doesn't hit it very far. I think this could be an interesting bounce back for Seabez. I'll be interested to see his ownership projections with a lot of attention going to that 9K and upper 8K range, and then Doug Gim. That whole midsection of the 8K range could get nothing.
I don't ever get Seabez right, so I'll let you have him.
I have a very limited history with Seabez, so I'm okay.
You can have him. I'll
give
take
it a try.
Neither of those two are going in our cash lineup, though. I'll put it that
right.
way.
And by the way, I'm glad you said that. We will get to our cash lineup. If people are looking for the cash picks, we will get to that here in the next segment. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll hit the 7K range. We'll do the 6K draft. We'll do our cash lineup here on the Better Sports Network, Tour Junkies Golf Show. Coming right back. All right, welcome back to the Tour Junkies Golf Show on the Better Sports Network, talking John Deere Classic. Final segment, we're going to talk the 7K range. We're going to do our 6K draft and our 50-50 or double up cash game lineup. Pat, I think, as we're breaking down this DraftKings slate, we're in the 7K range. I think similar to maybe last week, when it's a weak field and there's not a lot of depth, it just feels like, all the chalk is really in the ranges above the 7K, and then there's maybe 1 or 2 maybe players who are chalky in here. But you're going to be able to differentiate lineups and have lower owned leverage options fairly easily, I think, in the 7K range. My guess is on the chalk, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong or you think you have other ideas. I think Dylan Wu, who we've said all along is the greater of the Woos.
Yeah.
And he continues to prove it. We had him everywhere last week. He crushed it. He just could not put all 4 together, but he played 3 really good rounds. I think D-Wu at 7,500 is going to get plenty of love. And I think people are starting to get, I don't know why this is. Maybe it's just Twitter. But since the U.S. Open, the Canadian, and last week, people are starting to sour a little bit on Carson Young, but I still think people are going to play him enough. I
Yeah.
could still see him getting plenty of ownership, especially given he's making a lot of cuts. He's only 7,200. I could see that happening. And then the last one that I had was the darling of the broadcast on Sunday, at least, Peter Kest, the young kid who finished T4 and is basically a made cut away from locking up his special temporary membership. But I mean, this is a kid who finished 14th at a birdie contest at the Byron Nelson, 57th at RBC Canadian, and 4th last week at the Rocket Mortgage. Hits it a mile, great swing, good college player, good on the Corn Ferry Tour, Mini Tour, Outlaw Tours. But he's a 74. I think those 3 are going to be your popular picks, but then everyone else I kind of feel like is not. Do you think I missed anybody that might be
Yeah.
popular?
I don't know about Quest. I mean, I think I guess if you are playing him, I don't blame you because of what we saw last week, and he does have just a really good demeanor about him, and I
Mhm.
liked his game a lot. Hits it a long way. I think Chez Reavie is going to have some
Ah,
chalk. I don't think you're
don't
going to be
hurt.
able to get away with that
God
being a sneaky
dang
play.
it.
I mean, look at it. Like
I know.
I know we had the 4th place finish at the Travelers, but if you go back, I mean, Schwab T40, T58 at the Memorial, T25 at the Canadian, right before the 4th place at the Travelers, and then a top 30 last week. Very solid play out of Chez, and on another course that really should be, a pretty good fit for him. He missed the cut last year, but had a top 20 the year before that. I think Chez is you're not gonna be able to get away with playing him, DB.
I
If you want to play him with low ownership, I don't think that's gonna happen.
I could show you my sheet, but on my sheet I wrote down the chalk as Diwu, Young, and Kest, and then after that I scribbled Chez with a question mark. Like I was hoping
Yeah.
that maybe not. Here's the only thing. He's still like last week. You know what? Guess what his average ownership was last week?
I'd put it like 9 or 10%.
5.6.
Jeez. Nobody likes playing him.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody
But
likes
it's gotta be higher this week. It's gotta be higher.
Nobody likes clicking dumpy little Ches. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants
Yeah.
dumpy Ches and his thick bottom and his 279-yard drives. Nobody wants that. And at 7,700, he's in kind of a, you know what I mean? Like $7,700 Ches is not sexy for anyone to do. When you could go down and get Kest or Diwu or a young kid or something different that's not Ches. And that's why I think people may continue to. I think he could peak at around 10%. I could be wrong, but this is a better course for him than Detroit Golf Club. He gained. Do you know he led the field in strokes gained approach? Now he was tied with Rickie.
I
He
mean,
was
it
tied.
doesn't surprise me the way he hits his irons, man.
He is flushing his irons right now.
And especially if you throw a lot of wedges into his hands,
Yeah.
the guy can knock pins down. He's done it his entire career.
It's the first time he's missed he's lost strokes putting since the Players last week. The Players.
Jeez.
So
Well,
like if he just is neutral last week, he's in the top he's probably in the top 15 for sure again. Led the field in approach play at a big boy golf course where it was harder for him to gain strokes off the tee. When he plays at the John Deere, this is the other reason why people might jump on him because I mean the history is not bad, but if you look at his strokes gained off the tee, he's played here in 2, 4, 6, 8. He's played here 10 times. He has been positive 7 times in strokes gained off the tee. 70% of the times he plays here, he's positive in strokes gained off the tee. That is not the case for every other run-of-the-mill tour event. So his game gets elevated when he comes to a place that you don't have to hit it a mile. I just think a $7,700 unsexy Chesticle may get overlooked. I was hoping it would get overlooked, but then when you said that, that may mean that ain't happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not very good at guessing on ownership, but I feel like I may be right on this one. Um,
Yeah.
you know, uh, I love this range. Another guy that I'm looking at is Michael Kim, who I feel like I
Yeah.
need to sell you more on Michael Kim.
I know.
But Kim has been playing really
I
well
know.
this year. I think people think about Michael Kim of the last few years. It's
Yeah.
been horrible, just a crap ton of cuts. But I mean, the guy is really, I mean, you look at his approach play, you look at his birdies. I mean, he's really playing a lot better. He's a good putter. He's top 20 in the field in putting. He's won this golf tournament before in 2018, and that was when Kim was kind of, he was coming onto the scene in a much better player than he has been the last couple of years. Kim will certainly be low owned because people, I think, again, you look at the memories of people with a guy like Kim who's just hasn't played well at all. So I like Kim a lot this week.
We talked a good bit on the betting show about Lucas Glover. I don't want to beat the dead horse
Yes,
there.
yeah.
I think Lucas is going to get some love, some ownership because his outright number this morning, which is usually a good telltale sign, his outright number was like 90-1 or something, and it quickly got bet down to 60. And he's 7,200. He might have found something with the putter last week, so I could see that one being popular. But some other pivots in here that I was looking at. I was surprised when I kind of dug in a little bit about a couple of names down here that again are kind of Chez Reavie-esque. They don't really feel very sexy to click, but Kevin Streelman at 7,200 is checking a lot of boxes, and actually so is Chesson Hadley. When you look at kind of the short iron to wedge play numbers, both of those guys doing quite well. Streelman's struggling on the putting surfaces a little bit here of late. He had a peak week at Colonial, but he's also hitting his irons quite well. Not quite to the Chez levels, but really, really well. We know he hits a lot of good, a lot of fairways. So I don't know. Like Streelman and Hadley, I could see having solid weeks. I mean, Streelman's had some peak finishes here at the John Deere. And neither one of them are going to get any love. I mean, they're going to be Hadley will be like 0% owned. Streelman might get to like 2 or 3, but both have had good finishes at the Deere before.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I also think you go back to Callum Tarrant, who's at 7,300. We talked about him a decent amount last week when we got into. I think he was in the 6K range last week. He's had a top 30 last week at the Rocket Mortgage, T33 before that, then made the cut also at the RBC Canadian. He finished T6 here last year. We're kind of getting into Callum Tarrant season, DV. We were all over him last year, and then we kind of soured on him, but he's been popping, I think. So I like him as well at 7,300.
All right, let's get out of the 7K range. Let's do our 6K draft and then hit the cash game lineup. We'll get out of here. All right, 6K draft last week. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad last week. I mean, anytime I think half of our 6K guys make the cut, I feel like that's okay. And then if a couple of them have some decently good finishes, that's even better. Our top scorer was Vincent Norman, who finished T24, but I think he was top 20 in DraftKings points scored. Yeah, and then Callum Tarrant, who you brought up last week, was T29. Grayson Sigg was T56. And then Novak, Augusto Nunez, and Jimmy Walker all missed the cut. So, all right, let's get through the 6K draft quickly. I'm going to start at 6,800 with a guy who played pretty well last week, I'm pretty sure. I mean, 40th place finish on a course that not great for him probably. Satoshi Kodaira, short knock-in. Satoshi with the good iron play. Putter's been popping the last couple of weeks. T30 here last year. I'll go Satoshi.
Okay, I'm all right with that. I'm going to go up a little bit at the top here, and Marty Dew, DB at 6,900. I like some Marty here. He is, he's been playing pretty well lately. You look at his last couple events. Well, he's made 3 out of his last 4 cuts, but then had a top 20 last week at the Rocket Mortgage. So Marty,
Our boy, Georgia boy, Grayson Sig.
yes,
Loves him an easy
like it.
golf course. Irons have been clicking. He's really good around the greens. Great wedges. We just need to see G Sig come out and do his thing. Had a 16th place finish here last year, which I think is that good for his best finish? No, he had a 7th at the 3M. I forgot. He had a couple top 10s. I feel like he has had very few top 10s, which he has. Yeah. Okay. So G Sig.
All right. Well, DB, I'm going to go with a guy now that you cannot stand. But I think if
Great.
I'm actually going to play 6K guys this week, it's going to be at the higher end. And Peter Malnati at 6,900 DB. Top 10 last week. He's made 4 of the last 5 cuts here. A short course specialist, basically. Great putter. I like Peter Malnati.
I actually did have Malnati written down. I mean, putting, all the reasons you said, he's on the list. So
Okay.
I'm there. I guess we don't really love this guy, but he does hit his wedges well. He hits a ton of fairways. And I'm pretty sure, he's got a tremendous track record at the John Deere, but he's only 6,900. Ryan Moore.
Oh, goodness.
His record at the Deere is quite good.
He's won it too, hasn't he?
He's won it. He's played here 15 times. His only missed cut was 2017. In the last 3 years, he's finished 24th, runner-up, and 18th. And
That's
yes,
not bad. Yeah.
it's very good.
Okay.
I don't like the guy, but
Well, last one for me, I'll go with Carl Yuan, who we saw play well last week as well. But he's got two top 20s in his last 3 events. So 6,800.
well.
Carl Yuan.
all right, let's knock out the cash lineup, 50-50 double up lineup on DraftKings. Cash game only. Trying to get 6 of 6 through the cut. We are not starting in the 9K or 10K range. I'll tell you that. We know
No.
that for sure. All right, let's start with. I got to go with Adam Schenk at 9,500. This feels like Schenk's got he feels like a guy. It's his tournament to lose.
Yeah, I don't mind that. You know what? I think we drop to at 9,200. We go to Grillo, DB.
Yep, I'm in on that. If I take us down a little bit, do we think do we trust Lucas Glover to put in cash? I kind of do.
I do too, actually.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, would we rather have, I think,
Let's go with Glover
okay,
there.
Let's do it. All right, Glover, that puts us back in the 8K range on average.
Yeah. I think we go with Shez. I think we go with Shez at 7,700.
Good with Shez, 77. So our average is about 82 left. We could get one more 9K guy and then just do the 7K thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't really love the What do you feel good about Chris Kirk?
Not
But then
really.
that puts us down at 7,100.
No.
We probably need to go Jaeger. That puts us at 76.
He makes a lot of cuts, though.
He does make some cuts, dude.
Got upside. I could go Jaeger.
Okay, and then that puts us at 76. You could get Kim. You could get D Woo.
I'm gonna go with the chalky D Woo here.
I think I would prefer D Woo too. All right, there's the cash game lineup: Adam Schenk, Emiliano Grillo, Stefan Jaeger, Shez Reavie, Lucas Glover, and D Woo. Boy, if that ain't a cash lineup for the Rocket Mortgage Classic, I don't know what is. Listen, thanks for putting up with a weird week for the content with the Tour Junkies. Happy 4th of July. Hope you guys have a safe and fun holiday. And thanks everybody on the Better Sports Network for allowing us to do the show. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Genesis Scottish Open, baby. I can't wait. We're going to be in Scotland. All right. Thanks. May your screens be green. Bend over your bookies. See ya.